Bhaiya, should I give you?
would formally introduce myself. As most of you know that my name is Himkar Mishra, and yes, we don't use any fertilizers or chemical insecticides or pesticides in our farm. So our farm is totally natural, and it's modeled on food forest. So I wanted to speak to you about this because most of you are in class 10, you'll go into plus 2, and then you'll plan your career ahead. And many of you would be having ambitions and an inclination towards writing the civil services or the UPSC. I think students these days, they write the UPSC, or even if you are doing your management or your software companies or any of the bank exams, now they ask you about environment and climate change every year. It's a very important topic, and I'm sure even in your curriculum, you'll be having topics on environment and climate change. I was the state president of Reliance Industries, Reliance Anil Ambani Group, for 10 years, from 2006 to 2016, and I was heading 2 states. Since 2016, I chose to come back to my roots. My mother was the first principal of this school, as you would be knowing, and before that, she taught in Ursuline Convent for 30 years. And so I came here, went to my ancestral farm, and started this process of conversion. So from a conventional farm, what we did initially was we converted it into an organic farm. That means organic farm also, we did not have any extraneous inputs in our farm. Whatever manure or pesticide or fertilizers we did was in-house. We made them in-house. Like we only used vermicompost. So we had the vermicompost pits at our farm. And the manure and the other insecticide or the pesticide that I was talking, we used moringa leaves and a few other leaves which are good pesticides. But as I did not have a formal background in agriculture, I studied humanities. I did my history honors from Chandigarh University, Punjab University, and then I did my masters in history again from Delhi University. I wrote the civil services, qualified for the final interview twice in 91 and 92. And then I became a journalist for a while. Then I joined the corporate sector. And I went through many companies. I worked in a textile company as the vice president. I was there in a soybean processing company for 4-5 years. And then eventually in a polypropylene company for a year or so. And then I headed Reliance for 10 long years. And then I came to Purnea. And believe me, this is the best phase of my life. I don't regret missing out on my corporate life anymore. I don't even remember them. As head of the Reliance, I interacted with the Chief Minister, the state bureaucracy, the central government, I was a lobbyist basically to get the policies changed in favor of Reliance. But when I chose to come back, when I came here, the farm grew on me. I learned everything by doing. It was learning by doing for me. There was nothing that I came up with. There was no baggage of knowledge. The more I did, the more I learned. And let me tell you, there is no age to learning. You can learn at all stages of your life. And you just have to have a conviction. You just have to have a passion for what you do. And for me, it was passion beyond what I can put it in words. For me, I did not care about heat. I did not care about humidity. I sweated in the farm. I was there in winters. I was there in summers. And all of us at the farm did. And let me tell you, between 2016 and 2023 till today, till date, we have the distinction of planting over 5 lakh trees in our farm. It's a food forest which has more than 500,000, 5 lakh plants in our farm. It's like a very dense forest, and in between you have the pathways for walking, and lot of visitors both from the country and outside, they come to visit my farm. This is the introduction about what brings me here, what I want to tell you and what I want you to learn from me. Because let me tell you one thing, and all children I am telling you, no knowledge ever goes wasted. Anything that you learn will help you in some way or the other at every stage in life. You will be a very good communicator. When you talk to people, you will be armed with knowledge, with information, and information is power these days. So don't shut yourself to any form of information that comes your way. You never know which information will help you where. Formal learning is fine. You come to a school, you go to a classroom, you go to your coaching institutes. Fine, that you learn, that you must learn, you have to learn. But in addition, for being a good conversationist, you must be a generalist. You must know everything that happens around you. So now I'll come to the main topic, the agenda for today, the reason why I am here. I wanted to be here, as I told you. Today, these days, you hear a lot about climate change. You hear about a lot of environment degradation, and so many issues. And temperatures worldwide is rising. Now, in today's world, the most important issue is of heating of the soil, rising of soil temperatures. Like we need to be cool. There's a limit to what our body can endure. For a human being, you cannot, survival is difficult or very, very difficult beyond 50 degrees. And we are just on the threshold of that. You see, this year you would have seen how the rainfall patterns have changed. In July, August, you just had 2 days of huge great rainfall, and then you have the whole month of heat, humidity and dryness. Again in August you had the same pattern, and again in now, last week you had rains, and now today onwards the monsoon withdraws. Earlier when we were small, we had a very widespread rainfall in Purnea district. And to tell you a fact, Purnea holds the distinction of having the maximum rainfall in 24 hours. It's not Cherrapunji or any other places that have lot of rainfall. There's a book called Monsoon Asia by Charles Farrow. When we were young, when we were in school, we used to read there. And I still remember that sentence from that book. And that book was called Monsoon Asia. And there they mentioned the highest recorded rainfall in 24 hours is in Purnea district of Bihar. And that was, if I am not mistaken, it was, I think, 18 centimeters in a day. And Purnea was flooded. So, but now the patterns have changed. Now you have the El Nino effect every couple of years. Earlier El Nino effect was not as pronounced. You must be knowing about El Nino and El Nina. El Nino causes the warming of the ocean currents in the Indian Ocean, Pacific, and the monsoon is affected because of that. When you have the La Nina effect, you have a lot of rains in the Indian subcontinent. But when El Nino is identified with excessive rain or excessive drought. So this is one of the things that I was wanting to tell you. Now there is a UN body called IPCC. Have you heard of IPCC? Children, any one of you have heard of IPCC? IPCC it's a UN body, United Nations, right? And the IPCC, the full form of IPCC is Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change. IPCC. I stands for Intergovernmental, P stands for Panel, and CC stands for Climate Change, right? It's a UN body headquartered in Geneva, Switzerland, right? It has 195 members, and these 195 members, they elect a panel of scientists in these respective fields for a period of 6-7 years to assess the climate pattern everywhere. And IPCC report mentions that the earth temperatures every 5 years is likely to go up by 1.5%, 1.5 degrees, sorry. Now what does that mean? Purnea has the highest temperature would be around 41, 42, 43, right? So 5 years from 22, let's say 27. So if it does increase by 1.5 degrees, how much does it become? Let's say 43 is the maximum that we have seen. It would become close to 45. So it would be more hot. Delhi, the temperature goes up to 45, 46. So then it would become 47. Central India, the Deccan Plateau, the temperature goes up, it's very hot. It goes up to around 48, 49. Rajasthan, Churu at times is close to 49. Gwalior goes up to 48, 49. Now just imagine, in 10 years time, every 5 years if it goes up by 1.5, so 10 years it goes up by 3 degrees. So places which have 48 degrees temperature would go up by 51, and the survival of the human race will become very, very difficult. Human body is not attuned to tolerating temperatures beyond 50%. So you would find many people dying of heat strokes. You would find many people getting hospitalized or falling sick because of, जिसको हम लोग हिंदी में लू कहते हैं, लू लग गया. What is लू लगना? लू लगना is basically a heat stroke. Your water becomes hot everywhere. The water bodies will वो सूखेगा. Water bodies will get dry, and the rivers will dry. And I am telling you, there are many places where the small rivers are drying up. So now, there's United Nations has taken cognizance of this changing threat to humanity. We all say कलयुग में प्रलय आएगा, जमीन सभ्यता खत्म हो जाएगी, हम लोग दुनिया खत्म हो जाएगी. बचपन से सुनते आ रहे हैं. हुआ है? और अगर होगा तो कैसे होगा? या तो न्यूक्लियर वॉर हो, उसमें कुछ बच गए, और नहीं तो फिर प्राकृतिक आपदाओं से होगा. So that is why now you must be reading newspapers. I'm sure most of you would be seeing the newspapers. अखबार पढ़ते होंगे. उसमें एक वर्ड आजकल बहुत आता है, NDRF या SDRF, स्टेट डिजास्टर रिलीफ वाला जो कमेंट होता है. तो वो सब जगह है, नेशनल लेवल पे भी है, स्टेट लेवल पे भी है. हम लोग के समय में कहाँ सुनते थे? कहीं भी तो सेना को बुला लिया, आर्मी प्रेस्ड इनटू सर्विस, एंड रेस्क्यू वर्क, फ्लडिंग हो गया तो ये हो गया. अर्थक्वेक अभी तुम देख रहे हो, दिस बीन अ लॉट ऑफ अर्थक्वेक्स हैपनिंग एवरीवेयर. अभी रिसेंटली yes, and of course geography you be reading about the fault lines and the movement inside the earth and all that. I'm not going to that. My basic mandate is to tell you how we can reverse that climate change. I will not talk about the problems, because more than the problem, I look for solutions, and every problem has a solution. The solution, and no solutions are absolute, they are relative, and no problem is also absolute. So every problem has a solution. Could be a better, I can tell you suggest you a suggestion. Probably after listening to my suggestion, you might be able to find a better solution. After all, knowledge is never static, it's very dynamic. The deeper you go into it, you would have more answers to the same problems. Am I right? So now, what are the solutions? Now, first of all, let's go into the causes and reasons of why there is so much of hue and hullabaloo about climate change. What is it that is bringing about so much of climate? Now you would see the world was full of rain-fed rainforests. You'd be like the Amazon forests that you would have heard. We have the forests in Satpura, but everywhere what do you see? Because of the human greed, the greed for money, trees, forests are being cleared up for timber, for civilization, for cultivation, for building houses, for construction. So you are growing at the cost of what nature has given you. So the first thing that came was, instead of having independent houses that you would be seeing in old Purnea, these days you are having vertical townships. You'll be having apartments, one after the other. Because you are running short on space. There's no place for that. Bigger cities,